I'm currently kind of obsessed with the role of men in the modern world, their retreat from relationships, their retreat from friendships overall. Have you considered if there is a broader dynamic going on here that ties together the general sort of malaise that men are finding themselves in?
Well, I'm not a philosopher, but I do demographics and I can count. And I mean, I'm a uh, I'm a I'm a 67-year-old grandfather with four kids, right? And so I am so far from the forefront of the battlefield right now that I can kind of read it the way I read science fiction and try to kind of understand it. But the idea that let's see, how do I put this for a family audience? The idea that young men would not be interested in real live women uh, would have been kind of absurd 50 years ago.
Did you see? So, my favorite or most terrifying piece of research that I've seen recently was from Pew in 2019. 61% of men said that they were looking for either casual or long-term relationships. In 2023, that number has dropped to 50%. 1 in 2 men between the ages of 18 and 30 aren't looking for either casual or long-term relationships. Now,
Well,
for the men that are listening who have been through that age bracket or in it, you understand the power, the reality distortion field that is the male sex drive between the ages of 18 and 30. The fact that you can have something that happens that can overcome that is
yeah,
wild.
yeah, yeah. It's like science fiction.
So what's going on?
And
Come on, Nicholas, put your best philosopher tinfoil hat on and give me your ideas.
yeah, sure. I started looking at this. We're getting away a little bit from Men Without Work, but I think I'll wander back to it. I started looking at this in Japan, the numbers about Japan, about 2 decades ago, when young men and women were not only saying that they were less likely to have had sex by given, age 25, age 20, whatever, but also saying that they were less interested in this. And at the time, I thought, well, everybody knows that the Japanese are just separate from the rest of humanity. They see us as all gaijin. They see us as all unspeakably weird. This is just some Japanese thing. Little did I know that this was the leading indicator for where everything else was going to be going. And I had assumed that we were just in our regular garden variety family decay thing in, post war America. But then this new eruption comes along, and the wonderful little devices kind of turn out to be turbocharging this, or at least complicit in some sort of way with this. And I again defer to my boss, Mary Eberstadt. Mary has, I won't say argued, but she has ominously mused about the possibility that nurture and wanting family and wanting children is not something that is hardwired into us in our DNA inviolably, but rather is something more like a muscle that we develop through use and through seeing, the same way that little cats know how to climb down from trees if they live with other cats, and they get stuck up in the trees if they don't have cats to look at.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like a mimetic.
Yes, exactly. Rene Girard, a mimesis,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean that's
Okay.
the musing of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I mean, so there's a guy, Stephen Shaw. You familiar with Stephen?
I've heard the name. Yeah,
Yeah, so he did Birth Gap, which is a fantastic
Mhm.
documentary. I know that you're big
I
on
haven't.
your.
I talked to him. I talked to him a while ago. I haven't seen the documentary.
He was in Qatar with me, so he had
Ah,
a debate a couple of days after me. So we got to go for a bunch of lunches and dinners while I was out there. Also
yeah,
brought him on the show. I thought he was absolutely fantastic.
yeah,
I mean, going back to the men in work thing, but also feel free to fold
yeah.
demographic collapse in as well. How worried are you about all this?
Well, I'm worried about it as a citizen. I'm worried about it as a researcher. I'm worried about it as a parent and, a grandparent, somebody who'd like to see, our society continue. Things can turn around. Things don't always head in a linear direction. In fact, they seldom seem to head for very, very long in a linear direction. This 50-year trend in the exit from the labor force is a pretty long linear trend. It's exceptional in that way, I think. What'll turn it around, I think, is not going to be economic and structural change. It's going to be a change in people's viewpoints and values and metaphysics. We've had, as you know, we've had a couple of great awakenings in the United States in the past. We've had other little eruptions. It's going to be a change in mindset, and I don't see why we can't have a change in mindset. As a social observer analyst, I can tell you that our tools are poor enough that it takes us a while even to recognize when a change has already started. So for all we could know, this conversation has already started, and too blind and weak to have detected it yet.
Are you alluding to the fact that a social change, to be able to give some sympathy, support to the chunk of men that are in this 7 million?
Not just, yes, of course, empathy and support. I mean, we have an extraordinary empathy gap in the United States today. We can't even, people who are in the intellectual classes and the describing classes can't accurately describe the arguments of people with whom they disagree because those arguments are bad and evil. They can't even do the intellectual thing of describing this accurately. I mean, that's a huge empathy gap. But more than that, I think finding spiritual and other meaning in life that takes you outside of yourself and reattaches you to humanity and to eternity.
That's going to be a challenge given how atomized our devices have made us. If you want to go secular with this, right, and you want to say, join a local pickleball club, pick up trash, look after the local dogs, join an art class, do yoga, do whatever, right?
Yep.
For as long as you have a incredibly convenient, incredibly distractible, highly distracting device that sits in your pocket, getting yourself up off the couch on an evening time is going to be hard. If you're spending 2,000 hours per year on the couch playing video games, smoking weed, there's a very high bar for you to get over there.
Amen. And I can't tell you what the next big innovation is, whether it's going to be a chip in the head or what the next
virtual reality or whatever it might be.
Well, virtual reality is already here. Sure. I mean, it'll get better and more enticing. It's going to have to come from people themselves, and it may be a revulsion. It may be a sad learning process, but I don't have any doubt that we will not entirely be enslaved by this. There'll be some sort of a reaction which will, I think, help to open people's minds again.
Every single morning for over 3 years now, I've started my day the exact same way, which is with Element in water. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, and it is the best hydration drink that I've ever found. It tastes fantastic. It's super refreshing. Orange is just the most OP flavor in the world. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it helps to play a critical role in reducing muscle cramps and fatigue. It regulates your appetite, it optimizes brain health, and it helps curb cravings. They're also the exclusive hydration partner to Team USA weightlifting and relied on by tons of Olympic athletes and everyday high performers all around the world. Also, there is a no BS, no questions asked refund policy where you can buy a box completely risk-free, and if you do not like it for any reason, they will give you a refund during an unlimited duration, and you don't even need to return the box. That's how confident they are that you'll love it. Element are giving away a free sample pack of all 8 flavors with your first box if you go to the link in the description box below or drinklmnt.com/MW. That's drinklmnt.com/MW. What's happening, people? If you enjoyed that, then press here for the full, unedited episode. And don't forget to subscribe.